Hello, Boone. Hello. Hello, James Brown.
Hi.
Yeah,
Hello,
Boone was
Boone.
here, but he suddenly left and he hasn't come back. I think either lightning struck his home or he lost power or something.
Could be.
And
Maybe
Tor is supposed to not show up because Tor is in holiday. And today's topic is entirely about JavaScript in order for Tor to not join.
JavaScript. Okay.
Let's share you some interesting videos for you to watch while we are waiting.
Okay.
Okay, Boon, welcome to join. So today's topic is about 3 topics about JavaScript, all of them about JavaScript. So let's go to the first, which is can you hear me, Boon?
He hasn't connected.
Yeah, Boon exited. Well, if it's stable this time, then you can say something.
Hi.
Hello, Boon.
Hi.
Is it stable for you now, Boon?
Yes, I've given up on my earphones.
Okay, nice. So today we have 3 topics about JavaScript. Tor is not joining because he's in holiday, so we don't talk about TokenScript, just JavaScript API. The first one is about your pull request, the one that you proposed, which has a variable that is called update, and it has token and card.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's all good. Let me check. One question that first, everything you propose seemed to be good. And I don't know if James Brown has a look at it. I send the link so James can have a look.
I haven't seen.
There's one last question that you had. That is, all these assumes that we have at most 1 token and at most 1 card. And you're asking if this assumption is correct. First, there might be more than 1 token because let's say kitty marriage, where you marry one kitty with the other, that's an action, where you select 2 tokens to do, or batch transfer a lot of tokens, or using more than 1 input, like you need 1 attestation plus 1 DAI token together to bind 1 ICO token. That's one thing. The other thing is you mentioned that whether or not there is 1 card. Currently, there is 1 card. Did I ever talk about deck?
Talk about what?
Deck, DECK.
No. No. Very briefly. Take it as a no.
Okay. So because James Sangali was on me today, that's saying that I suddenly come up with a word. So I might as well tell him that if I never told him about the word deck today, then I didn't invent it. He think I'm behaving like Communist Party recently, that rewrite history and saying that something existed long before. Anyway, so the thing about deck is that's where the name card come from. That is, you can play multiple things together. So one example would be, imagine that you go to checkout and you are using payment currency like barter card. And then the bill is $1,000, but you have barter card balance of 300. Then you might choose to do top up. And ideally, the top up process is done in the same transaction as the payment transaction. And even if it cannot be done together, it should be done very closely to each other in one process. So you might have two actions. One is top up, and the other is to pay the bill. These are two cards, though. These are two cards. They are not one card. But I haven't thought about how the JavaScript would look like when that happens. The second, maybe in this case there will be two separate updates to two cards, or maybe I don't know what will happen with that. The other example is you use attestation when you do a transaction. So you can generate a proof of your residential status, let's say proof that you are Singaporean, as well as purchasing an ICO token. So that will be using two cards in one transaction. Whether or not that, but that, again, the two cards might be separate because you don't want one card to learn the secret of the other card. So maybe when JavaScript runs, there's only one card, maybe. And the third example would be if you have a delivery versus payment, then you have the payment currency, and there will be a card, token card, virtual token card in this case, that shows the delivery you are going to get. So if you are going to get a kitty, then there will be a card that shows the kitty, or if that token is created as a result of your transaction, then this one has to be virtual. Then you can compare side by side what you are going to pay, what you are going to get. And in the end, the two cards creates only one transaction, that is the delivery versus payment transaction. But everything else, but it is two cards. And there might be even another case where a DEX is involved. That is, let's suppose you sell your CryptoKitty for 100 Ether, and you buy another CryptoKitty with that 100 Ether. So it would be great if the kitties can be swapped directly, but let's suppose 100 Ether is involved in the transaction, and you would only want to sell your CryptoKitty if you can get another one, which means if the transaction is only done in one hand and not the other hand, you are not happy. Like you're not happy to sell your kitty for 200 Ethers, only to learn that by the time you want to buy the second kitty, it's no longer in the market and you already lost the first kitty. So that would be a transaction that potentially involves three cards. The first being selling the kitty, the second being the dealing with the cryptocurrency, intermediate currency, and third being buying the kitty. Or maybe that only two cards, I'm not sure. So these are the scenarios of DEX. But because we haven't even bought a card to a website, therefore I didn't design anything regarding regarding DEX. It's only existed as a concept. And I thought it was part of DVP transaction, a DVP feature, but it turns out that it's more useful than DVP. It's useful for the attestation, and it is useful for topping up balance as you purchase. So this is an undesigned element that I think I'm just providing information. I don't think it's going to result in more than one card being updated. Or maybe, I'm not sure. I'm just not sure.
Okay. Sounds okay.
So if it's JavaScript, well, we can have this. Let's say we can have token that is about the token token of this action. We have a card that is the present card. And if we have multiple inputs, these are probably not under tokens. They are probably under input, which is a different one at the same level as token and card. That would solve the conundrum, right?
Yes, or we can have plural tokens, cards.
Or if we have a DEX, I guess it will be a DEX. It will be called a DEX. So card is still going to be the same. So I think your API is going to be good when we introduce Deck 2. I feel, I cannot think because it's too far away. Deck is not, there's no Deck thing.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, okay. So that's all my feedback on year 1. I will comment that we will have Deck and we will have inputs, but I don't see that as a disruption to your design. Second issue is, second question is, your design can work without loading React libraries, right?
Yes.
That's good. Okay, so that's all good. Pass me. It passes me. What about James Brown? What do you think? Okay. I guess James Brown is busy. Okay, so the second topic is regarding to the the interface to launch a card. Let me.
Oh, sorry. Before we move there, can I ask you one thing about the JavaScript API?
Yeah.
If you look at the PR, my comment, and there is still on the left hand side web3.tokens.data change. Do you want to change it or think about it?
Oh, the second. Wait, I totally didn't notice this. How comes? So web3.tokens.data change is the only place where things are still there.
Yes, it's all to do with names, namespaces. Do we want to fix it, change it, or next time?
It has been like this for a long time, right?
Yes.
I don't know. What do you think this should be?
I don't know. If you can bear with it, then we can change it next time when we know more.
Yeah, maybe it's a separate topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I missed it in the first go. Okay, so it's all right. Yeah. Okay. So now let's launch a shared screen so I can type some pseudocode. So the second is just an idea how we might launch a card. So launch a card is different than all the APIs we defined before, because launch a card is something that happens on the website, not in TokenScript. It's an external facing API. Yeah, can you see the screen?
Yes.
So let's suppose there is something like let's suppose there is, or maybe TokenScript directly. Maybe. Okay. So so there is so okay. That would be something like this, right? That would be the minimum. And let's see what's the problem in this. First, token not specified. The second is token script trust is implied. So let's say if there, let's say card name and so I don't know if this is even needed because sometimes you might have token script from different entities. Maybe, and then you have a callback. But another problem. Okay, no parameters because let's suppose you're going to check out. Okay, you need to provide the balance that is the user is going to pay. So imagine this. So somehow you need to pass a set of parameters. I would imagine that these parameters becomes the card attribute. That's natural to you, right?
Yes.
They are typed inside the card definition, and that if we're allowed to be specified by the caller, then in the definition, then it can be supplied by the caller. That means the origin will be like from the website. Then I have a question that do you allow this to change? For example, if the price change because user, let's say user goes to checkout and user click the checkout button, which causes the card to open, and the user look at the price and think, that price is higher than I thought. And he didn't click confirm on that card. Instead, he had a closer look at the website and realized that the website used priority shipping. Then he clicked let's use normal shipping. Then would you allow the card to update a message so that the card get this update JSON string with a new amount?
Where is the shipping options displayed?
Yeah, of course, it's on the website. So now imagine on the left side you have the website. On the right side there's a card open, and the website changed because the price changed. And do you want to feed that change? Because we already said that this attribute originates from the web. If it originates from the web, then the web might have a different value for it.
Yes, why not?
Or that maybe expired is a Boolean value. Then when the shopping cart expires, the card also knows it has expired by through an update. You would think that makes sense, right?
Yes.
In that case, how do you pass that update into the card? How does the website author writes that now I want to update the card?
Well, can you repeat your last sentence?
Okay. Now let's say the website wants to update amount. Okay. See the screen?
Yes.
So how does the website call the card for update?
At least two ways. One is to run line 21 again.
Card update pay amount, right? The callback is no longer needed because it is supposed to be done at the end.
Yes, or to pass all the attributes in, which will be like line 25.
Like this.
Yes.
So you have two. One is card launch, the other is card update, right?
Yes.
A card open. Actually, card open has two potential interpretations, so maybe launch. So the other interpretation is funny, but actually might become relevant. Okay, anyway, how do you think, if you design it, how would you do it? So this interface, for example, only does one way, right? You cannot get value from a card in between. Do you actually want to do that?
To read values back?
Yeah, but if the card is in WASM, then the communication is two-way. I didn't study the API, how they do that.
Doesn't seem necessary to.
Presently, yeah.
Yes. It should be available to some kind of callback if necessary.
So is this what you would do, or do you want to type something?
Sounds close. Well, or maybe we can think about things like starting a session or something like that. But I guess it's more or less like this.
Yeah. You mean like more detailed stuff like this?
Yes.
Okay, so also that if the card is on the other side of Wallet Connect, then we simply hide the detail. So basically we provide website owners with the API. So if the website owner calls card launch, then if the user is using Alpha Wallet, the card pops up. If the user is using MetaMask pops up. And if the user is using normal Firefox, but using Wallet Connect connected to Alpha Wallet, then Alpha Wallet pops up in his mobile phone, and the user is still looking at the Firefox website. And the mobile phone rings. So we hide the details here, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. So I take a note. Hide details on the Connect. Yeah. So we allow one the mobile, the other is the website is on the website.
But we might still need to let the users be able to choose how they want to, where is their wallet.
Oh yes, I imagine this would happen before card launch. Or maybe it actually does. Yeah, you are right. So if there's no connection, then the card launch will automatically do something, maybe like displaying QR code.
Yes, but also
the connection, we can reuse it.
Yes, but also maybe I'm running Chrome. I have MetaMask, but it has one wallet. But I want to use my business wallet, which is on Alpha Wallet. So I might still want to choose, even though it can be auto-detected.
Choices of which wallet to connect to if no existing choices. Okay, So yeah, note taken. I guess that's all the memos we're going to share today. If you have any input, let's write more. Otherwise, I'll just share it as a thinking memo.
Mm.
And also, it's okay to leave out the card deck building thing, right? Sometimes the website want to build a deck, but we can introduce a new API for that. Make sense?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe we can also check how Stripe does that on the web, as well as how Apple or Android Pay does it on phones, to look at their API, because it's quite similar in some ways.
Oh, sorry. Repeat that.
Oh, I was saying we can also look at and steal ideas from how Stripe does it on the web, as well as how Apple Pay and Android Pay does it on phones.
Borrow the API design from Apple Pay, right?
Yeah, Apple Pay, Android Pay, as well as Stripe on the web.
Android Pay and Stripe, right?
Yes, Stripe PE.
Stripe,
Stripe.
that.
Yes.
Stripe actually has an app pay with mobile phone feature. No, it's just a iframe. That's different, right?
You mean on the phone or web?
You cannot use a mobile phone to pay a Stripe checkout on the desktop.
No, you can't. But you can wait. If the website integrates, you can.
Note that you can pay with Stripe
On websites.
mobile. When buying on PC, right?
That you can pay. Oh no. I mean just on PC.
In that case, it's Alipay.
Yes. Right. Okay.
And actually, Alipay no longer allow you to buy it on PC. That's really aggressive. So I remember in the past, Alipay is a PC thing. Later, they had a mobile phone. So you can either log into Alipay and pay, or you can use your mobile phone to scan the QR code and pay. But today in the office, when I try to pay Alipay, it says your payment can only be processed with a mobile phone, and please take out a mobile phone. And this is so aggressive things happening in China.
Okay, since you are on that track, then we should also look at how Apple Pay works when the user is on a Mac using a desktop browser, but they can confirm the transaction on their phone or on an Apple Watch.
They have a special advantage that they can check if the Chrome, the Safari user is the same user as the mobile user, right?
Yes.
But we can check that too, because that's similar to the situation where the wallet connection is already made before the website wants to launch a card.
Yes.
Okay. Also, now back to this. I will not call a launch. I will probably call a play card. I'll give you the reason. Okay. Because that's similar with the card open thing. Card play card. So a lot of the cryptographic words are borrowed from card games, poker games, because there was a saying that if AI is about chess or Go, this board game, then cryptography is like card game. The difference being in the board game, in the chess game, you know the location of every piece of you and your enemy. Just don't know their strategy, but you know what your enemy can do and what they have in their hand. And in poker game is different. Cryptography is done with a lot of cryptographic hide and commit and open. So they borrow words from a card game. And I followed that thinking when I started the card and deck thing. So I'm thinking that we might keep on using that. Therefore, if you want a card, then you actually play the card. The place where card open is ambiguous is sometimes you can put a card forward in the game and not use it until the moment when you need to open it, meaning that flip it up and let people see what's on the card. Make sense?
Yes.
So that's why I don't want to use the card open, because it means something different for a poker player or for a cryptographic person. So yeah. Okay. Now can we move on to the next one? Do you have more input on this?
Nope. Go ahead.
Okay. The next topic is to review the design from Barrett. I hope I pronounced his name right. Barrett. Okay. You proposed something with class, so I think you must have checked JavaScript, the new standards include class, right?
Yes.
And let's see, get name and return. So I somehow feel that there are advantages to make API as simple as possible. Remember when JavaScript DOM interface was designed, you have a node which represents a node in the DOM tree. Like if you have HTML document, then you have a paragraph, then it's a node. That's node P, right? And in that design, you have node.innerHTML, node.text, and node.nodeValue. These are quite confusing. If there's a way for JavaScript to return different values under different context, like a strong type language, sometimes this would be interesting. So one example is Python, where if you use a variable as a string, if you use an object as a string, it will automatically call the toString function. That would be helpful, because let's say if the user wants to get time, then the user really wants to get a JavaScript time object. And because JavaScript time object doesn't have the time zone, the user almost always want to get, the developer almost always want to get the JavaScript time that is converted to the current time zone. So let's say if generalized time, or if it's UTC time, then JavaScript guy always want to get it in JavaScript runtime's time zone.
Remember? Do you remember that? I think you might have wrote a class generalized time.
Yeah. I think we did similar thing, that return gives two values. One is zoned time, the other is not zoned time. And the reason being that at that particular instance, the JavaScript actually wants to know what is the time zone information in it.
Yes, for example, like displaying the ticket details.
For example, if you have a FIFA ticket, you will always want to know the event time in the location of the stadium, not in on your mobile phone.
Yes.
I hope there is a way to return you a JavaScript time object and adjust it to local time zone. And if you want to get the more complicated object, you have to do something else.
Wait, that's the class you wrote, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
probably.
already does that.
Did I write one?
Or did I? Oh, okay, maybe it's in the API. I think it's in the API. When an attribute is generalized time, we actually return two values.
Yes, but that's not easy to use. I hope there's a way for JavaScript developers not to know that there is another way to return a different value with time zone in it, unless he faces this problem. And this is possible in Python to an extent.
But how would a dynamic type language know which one you want?
So here, you define a function and say that the function has only one parameter, which is a string. And when you run it,
Hang on. How do you define that it's a string in a dynamic type language?
and yeah, JavaScript can do that. That's you're asking me how this is done in other languages, but now you already know the answer, right?
Yes, I don't think it's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, of course. Of course.
If we think that, so basically there are two versions of time, right? One is local, one is generalized time. If we think that if we know or we believe that one of them, probably the local version, let's say the local version is more commonly used, then we can just pass that around and that object has a property which returns generalized time.
That logic works with time, but when there is a choice, I'm talking about ASN module choice, it's usually not for that purpose. This is a specialized example. So that's not.
Yes, then
not
yes,
good.
then for those cases, it seems like you have to return both all the values.
If you are reading it, then the choice is already made. So the choice was made when the object is constructed or when the function is run. And when you try to get the result, it's already the return value of function or the already constructed object where the choice is already made.
Oh, before we go further on this, somewhere I asked, are we designing the API to be write only or read write? It seems related.
I feel that there are advantages to design it as either write only or read only, right?
Yes, because if it's write only, then we don't really need to worry about this type issue we are talking about. Because the developer is going to read it back.
Remember that a few months ago, I think almost 1 year ago, I was a proponent of having the type information provided to the developers through a different different namespace than the actual variable.
Yes.
And that thinking is this still popular? Is JavaScript people now think more inclined towards passing the type information together with data?
I don't know. When do you even pass around type information?
That these examples like that, but you already made your point that currently JavaScript people prefer to receive data, and if they need type information, they will get it elsewhere, right? Which means we should if we provide read access to this data, then we should provide the type information, which is a result of choice in a parallel structure.
That sounds like a bit tedious to get the type information from when you need it. Like given a variable, given the instance C in your screen share, if I'm looking at the property name, how do I figure out the type of name? It seems much easier if I can just do c.name.type rather than going somewhere else and then doing .name, type.name or something
Yes,
like that.
but in this case, 5 minutes ago, you were supporting passing type information separately, but now you're supporting passing it together, right?
Yes. Well, underneath, remember, if you notice the snippet at the bottom, I have a get type. It depends on well, it depends on whether we want to let the developers read and what are they using it for. It seems like we need to know what is the use case for the developer before we can better decide which way to go about it.
Well,
or not at all.
Yeah, time's up. Let me take a note that the type information in the JS API for structured data. I will also check the ERC 712, which is a way to provide structured data. It's called Ethereum type structured data. Amazing that this guy says that he made this API because he doesn't want to reinvent new things, but it's actually new things he invented. Anyway, I will check how to do that and try to stay compatible with that and see if they have good traction as well.
We actually support 712 in our apps, at least partially.
So which scenario? The signing part, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But I remember reading more about it a while ago. It seems like it's still not concrete. Like there are several versions and it's not very clear which is the latest or final version. At least that was my impression of it.
Which one is 712?
712 is a data.
Oh, yes, I know. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I've got it now. I remember.
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's one more argument for, or rather example for not making the API read write. If, for example, you construct, if you want to use Stripe or Apple Pay or Android Pay, and you want to make a payment request, you would build some kind of payload, right? Like the shopping cart or the amount which we were talking about.
Yeah.
Can you think of an example where the developer building that payload ever needs to read it back? You just push it to the API. When do you read it back?
No, you don't. That's right. And also, if you push it to the API, you already know what are the types.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, let's go on with the thinking that read and write are two different things. But still, we need to design the details of how to get data. Okay, the time is up, and we have gone through 3 JavaScript topics, and I think it's productive. I'll share the note.
Okay.
Okay, talk later.
Thanks.
Okay.
Bye, James. Bye, Wei.
Okay. See you.
Bye.